Just stretch out.
Hi guys, thank you for coming. Thanks for coming to the East Bay. It's a very new experiment for us. We're glad you could come. So Pete usually runs the SV.ai group. Unfortunately, had a little bike incident, and he is getting care for that. He's okay, but he'll be here for the next one. We're so glad that we can have the speakers come out. We're really interested. Two really interesting talks. Please help yourself to any food or drink, and we'll get started with Anno.
Thank you very much. Thank you guys all for being here as well. I'm honored, and yeah, we really look forward to also connect with you if it's any interesting to you personally later on. I'm also glad Pete's okay. Like, very important. We talk about people being okay, right? So Pete's okay. This is good. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, the reason I'm here is a genetic condition that I was diagnosed with like 2 years ago, and kind of the journey that I'm on right now. So there is not. It's not that like, I don't have to. I don't have like the fix yet or something, but it's in a search, and yeah, I'm on this path. With Mo, who's also going to talk more about the computational side of it. Yeah, and I look forward to share this story with you. So, yeah, like as I said, like a few years ago, I got diagnosed with a condition called NF2, neurofibromatosis type 2. It was discovered because I was losing my hearing on the left side. So kind of. It started with like glass-like sounds, and I didn't know what it was, and they put me in the hospital, gave me steroids, and it took a while before they made an MRI scan, and they saw a tumor on the hearing nerve. And so the tumor presses on the nerve, and yeah, consequently you get problems with the signal going to your brain. Later they did another MRI scan, and they found another tumor on the other side. And they said, oh, the reason for the tumor is not incidental, it's actually probably a genetic condition called NF2. So that's kind of a shock, like, oh, shit, like, I can lose my senses just like that. And, a year before, I was perfectly fine, right? I already had the tumor, but I didn't know, so I was fine. So, yeah, but it also kind of taught me a few things about life. Like, life is just vulnerable, so you lose this thing. I lost my hearing on the left. You grieve a little bit, and you move on. And right now, I don't feel like I actually lost something. It just became a bit more. So, as you kind of are on this journey as a patient, you can run into a lot more issues. I'm on the lucky side. They tell me I have a very mild form, mild manifestation. So time is on my side, which is something to be grateful for. I remember one of my doctors saying, "Oh, you're 33, you just have 3 tumors." And I was like, this is the first good news I've heard in a while. Because it was kind of this roller coaster of bad news before that. So at some point on the way, I moved to the US like 2.5 years ago, and met some really good doctors in LA, specialized in this case. And they suggested to do surgery for the tumor on the left because it was growing. It would grow more, and I lost my hearing already, so they said just let's take it out. And we put a cool electronic ear in it instead, so that's what they did. I'm wearing it right now. So I thought, okay, that's a really good opportunity since I just moved here, got health insurance. And the other reason to do it was that I knew Mo, the guy in the blue shirt, who's going to talk later a little bit. And Mo was working on genome sequencing analysis software. And since I had a genetic disease, I was like, okay, we talked to each other, like, let's make a project out of this and sequence me. which was another reason to do the surgery, because you need the tumor tissue. If you don't want sequencing to happen, you need the tissue, and the only way to do that is drill a hole in your head and take the tumor out. So we did all that, and now I'm here and still working on this. I thought it would be good to kind of tell you a little bit about NF2. It's a little technical, but think of like neurological nerves as cables, like a USB cable. Right? So there is one cable between the ear and the brain that connects the two. And the cable has something that surrounds it, like the plastic on a USB cable. So it's not the copper that's exposed. And in the same way, the nerve has something around them, and it's called the Schwann cell. It's made out of Schwann cells, this wrapper. And the problem in my case is that these cells, something wrong with the tumor suppressor in them. So these tumors grow particularly on these kind of cells. So in my case, I have one in my spine, and I had two on both of my hearing nerves, and one is taken out, so I only have one more on the right side at the moment. So one thing that I learned is life's vulnerability, right? And surprise, surprise, like we all know it, but usually we kind of don't really think about it. And I think we actually should. I think everybody would benefit from knowing that tomorrow any one of us can have this issue, right? Like it happened to me, and that something else might happen to you. So it's not something you think about daily, which is maybe also good, but it's also good to realize sometimes that, life is a vulnerable thing. And one thing I found that's actually very important working on this is that I do it with a sense of playfulness and curiosity, rather than making it too serious, like, I'm having this problem, I need to fix it. Like, to just, see it as an adventure, see where I will go with this. Like, I was at a CRISPR gene editing conference in New York, and I noticed some people that I was sharing my story with were like, there's a person with a problem, like, he's looking for solutions, help. And other people were very interested, like, oh, that's interesting, and wanted to work with me. So I noticed both responses. But I think it's really important to do this with a little bit of fun. So I'm trying to have fun on the way too. So a little bit about the sequencing we did. I actually, not that it's any useful, but my data is on this disk. Something tangible. And then you see here in the background, you see part of that data. So it's just, we sequenced my blood, my normal kind of cells. And we sequenced my tumor. And also we sequenced my brother actually to do some of the computations. Mo did, so we have 3 samples. And with most software, it kind of looked at pathways. I don't want to go too technical. Mo is going to share some more technical things as well. But basically, we found 2 genes that were affected that probably have driver mutations that actually are responsible for the manifestation for these tumors to grow. Like the one on the right is affected Merlin, which is a protein that does something to all these other things along the way, and the other one is EGFR, which has something to do with the growth of blood vessels. So, of course, you can never be sure. I'll talk about that later. But this is what came up. And in addition, Mo also, the software and the databases suggested a potential drug for the EGFR mutation that actually had been studied in context to NF2. And when we called the doctor that did that study, he was not aware that anyone could have a mutation. Like, they kind of they guessed like a lot of these cancer drugs might work for people with NF2, so they just try it, but he never kind of thought about, oh, maybe someone actually has a mutation there. So that's when I realized, oh, there was new information, apparently, like stuff that we found that wasn't known before. So, yeah, that made me think, there is actually something here. Like up to then, it was really kind of a Wild West project, which you don't know if anything comes out at all. But it seemed, hey, something came out, so it was a very good driver to continue. Something about like rare diseases, like when you think about a rare disease, you think, well, that's not happening very often, but actually rare diseases as a whole happen really often. These statistics, like you can look them up here, like it's always questionable what's a rare disease, what's the threshold, and how severe is the disease, like is it actually causing daily issues for people, but the truth is that there are a lot of people affected by rare diseases, so I'll talk about that a little more later. When you have a rare disease, it means that they're economically, the traditional way is not very interesting to work on those. Not yet, at least. So it's basically the long tail, right? So these are all the diseases. You have the majority of them here, the big ones, and then you have all these small ones that put together from a pretty big surface. One of the problems that I experience as a patient is that the healthcare system is quite reactive. Okay, so I have a problem, I go to the doctor, and he tries to do whatever he can at that moment to help me out. And so, like, I think the experience of the whole medical system as a patient makes you kind of aware of everybody's like job, what everybody's doing, and where it falls short in some cases. Like I think in the case of a rare disease in particular, the way my doctor explains it, I could use like some emojis in my presentation. The way my doctor sees it is extinguishing fires, right? Like a tumor comes when I lose my hearing. He wants to extinguish these fires, and they do surgery or whatever, cut a bit of the tumor away. But meanwhile, more fires come up, and they need to do surgery again. So it's quite a frustrating idea to have to wait as a patient until another problem pops up. Like I know I have a tumor on the right side. Someday it's going to affect my hearing, maybe. When it does, all they can do is basically cut it out. Or there are not that many options. So it's just like, yeah, wait and see. We do MRI scans every 6 months, but it's not a very rewarding process. So these are like a couple of the kind of players in the medical field that I experience as a patient. Right? You have the doctors, insurance companies, the pharmaceuticals, academics, people that do research. I think a relatively new player is like the tech. Like probably a lot of people here are somehow in tech. That seems to be able to do something now, like partly because of genome sequencing, but there are also other things happening. And of course the patients, which I say, well, why are they not more a part of this whole play? Like they are a part, but they don't have a lot of influence at the moment. So if you look at like what is actually the day job of these people? What do they actually do and work on, and how do they get paid? What kind of, why do they start doing it? Like doctors are mostly just extinguishing these fires and managing the condition. The academics trying to find a truth or a new truth. They want to figure out exactly what's going on somewhere to kind of gain and grow our knowledge about something. Insurance companies, they manage the resources, right? And those resources we use to keep each other standing on two legs. Pharmaceuticals, they need to develop new treatment options in a cost-effective way, and it's part of the problem with rare diseases, right? Like, you are not going to develop a molecule for 10,000 patients in the US. It's not very economically viable. What the patient wants is very simple. They want the best available treatment today. They just want to know what is the best that you can give me right now. And additionally, they want a better one for tomorrow, right? Assuming that the treatment options that are there are not perfect. They want a better one while having this. So what I notice is that all the patients and all the communities like I'm in touch with, there's a sense of urgency. They need it right now. They're ticking time bombs in their body. They have a sense of pragmatism, which I think is really a nice kind of thing to have in this whole play field. They don't care about necessarily the truth, like if it's 100% accurate, like they're very pragmatic in their thinking. So they will just say like, it's solution oriented, like, you know, I'll try it if it might help, even if it might not, they'll still try it. So yeah, I think that's a really kind of good energy to put into the mix. So more about the genome analysis that we've done. You can see it as kind of debugging software. I don't know if any of you, how many are software engineers or developers, right? So it's really like finding the exact location of the problem, and then when you know the location of the problem, you can fix the bug, right? You're not going to manually change your code in order to try to see if they fix the bug. No, you're firstly going to isolate where that bug appears. So today the question for NF2, and of course this talk is related to NF2, but it might apply to other things. So, is there an off-the-shelf drug that might mitigate the problem? Right. Like, is there something I can take today that's already developed and through FDA trials that helps me? Another question is, maybe there's something that might have been overlooked. Like that is actually something you think about when you see you found like a driver mutation that other people in the field that have studied it haven't heard about. So maybe there's something in this disease that we are not really seeing yet. And another question that came up, do we actually all have the same core problem? Like we all have these tumors on these swan cells, but we are not sure if that's caused by the same set of mutations. I mean, we are assuming that's true, but maybe not. Like, we don't know what we might find. So in my case, this mutation, chromosome 7, isn't really looked at for NF2 conditions. It's more the one on the right side, the murine. Then for tomorrow, like, okay, let's say we find ways to find the right drugs for the right person to mitigate the issue, like in a better way than we do now. What's happening tomorrow, right? Like maybe a few things that could happen is new insights based on the data we already have. Maybe we develop new drugs to know if that new drug is maybe better than the other one. You want to have that instead. And there are also, like, as probably many of you know, there's a lot happening in this field, and there might be other kind of treatment options available as well. So just to kind of go over a few, the computer analytics that we do today might improve. Right? The algorithms might improve. So we'll rerun the algorithm in a few years. It might come up with another hypothesis. We have the personal medicine, like robots studying real cells, right? Like they can take my tumor cells, grow them, and try thousands of different drugs on them in a robot and analyze them. So the robots basically make that cost effective. You don't need people to, with petri dishes, but you can just make it automated. I think that's really interesting thing too. There is immunotherapy, right, where you re-engineer our immune system to go after the tumor cells. So that system isn't working for these tumor cells, so you can re-engineer it. There's progress on this for NF2, since NF2 what I have is not directly life-threatening for most people. The risk currently to do experiments with this on people is too high, because it might be that the re-engineered immune cells attack good cells too, and you basically you die. So it's pretty high risk right now, but in the future that might actually be an option too. Viral delivery of genes, so you can create genes that are good and put them in a virus, and the virus will inject them like a mosquito in the cell. There's actually some development there, so yeah, really interesting to watch that. And of course the CRISPR-Cas9, I don't know how many of you have heard of that. Not too many? Oh, yeah, everybody. Yeah, so as I said, I went to a conference in New York about it, and I realized, well, it's not ready in the short term to do any kind of, to make any treatment options for people like me with this, but in the future we might use this technology or other technologies that are based off on this to do something as well. So for now, my personal focus is I'm just looking as a patient. What's the next step for me? And there's every time there's something else that pops up. Right now it's just acquiring more data. There is only one data set in the quality that we sequence need. There are a bunch of lower quality data sets out there, not that they are shared, but we want to, and Mo's going to talk about this a little more, use high quality data as input. So more high quality data is very important, and there are a lot of tools along the pipeline that are missing, so build all these tools to fill in all the gaps. So ultimately patients can be a part of the solution. And I kind of want to end with that idea that whatever it is that we are going to do, it's very important to think about the incentive model. I don't know in what structure we will pour this, but it's really important that it's patient-driven. So the reward system out of the whole project is based on finding the best solution today and finding a better one tomorrow. For example, if you would acquire more data, this would, if you put the incentive from the patient in it, you would want as many people as possible to be able to look at the data, because they might find something that you don't maybe find yourself, or find something else. And a lot of these, a lot of the companies I see that it's all about ownership of data, they invest in that data. So it depends really on, I think it's a really important question, what's the kind of incentive model? Does it need to be a B Corp? Talking about a B Corp this morning, to drive this kind of research and give the patients drive a place in that whole field. Yeah, that's all I got right now. If you are curious, I put up a little website. It's actually made for patients to apply for as being interested. But I would be really curious if you guys, any of you guys think you can help in any way, or you have an idea, or you know someone, and just send me an email or something, or talk to me after. Yeah, see how this adventure continues from here.